In an NFL full of highlighting tight end play, this Broncos tight end stat might surprise you. It's a chilly day here in the Mile High City. Welcome into your Denver Sports Daily for October 30th. Let's go.
Taking you through your morning headlines, it's Denver Sports Daily with Rachel V. Hill.
In a world of Travis Kelce's and George Kittle's and every other tight end that we seem to be talking about weekly when it comes to highlights, it has been 29 games that have passed since the Broncos had at least 80 receiving yards from one of their tight ends prior to Adam Troutman's 4-catch, 85-yard performance in Sunday's win. The last Broncos tight end with at least 80 yards in a game was Greg Dulcich at Baltimore on December 4th of 2022. Andrew Mason found that stat. He's also got an entire numbers piece up at denversports.com that I highly recommend you check out. But it's been 29 games. That seems a little outrageous. Again, in a time in the NFL when we are talking about tight ends left and right, and maybe we're going to start to see a little bit more use out of it. It shattered Troutman's previous record for single game career high of 58 yards against Philadelphia when he was with the Saints on November 21st of 2021. So getting out of Troutman involved a little bit more. Greg Dulcich hasn't lived up to who we thought he was going to be. That's just the reality. In fact, we've rarely seen him. Injuries have obviously hurt his career tremendously. But let's see Adam Troutman get involved a little bit. Nate Atkins, we saw a little bit. There was plenty of good that came out of the game against the Panthers on Sunday, and maybe just tight end play might be one of them. All right, let's talk about the rookie QB, though, because every week Peter Schrager ranks the top 5 rookie performances, and that number 8, coming in at number 2, is Bo Nix. Now, we've seen Bo Nix's stats when it came to the game on Sunday. He surpassed John Elway and Drew Lock for most wins by a rookie QB. He had the most passing touchdowns in a game at 3, most total touchdowns in a game at 4, most passing yards in a game at 284, and best completion percentage at 75.5. So, yeah, things were looking pretty good for Bo Nix right there. But what about the past 4 games for the rookie QB? He's at 870 passing yards, a 66.7% completion rating, 7 passing touchdowns, 1 interception. Not bad compared to the 7 passing touchdowns, 102.7 passer rating, 2 rushing touchdowns. So really, it's not all that surprising that Bo Nix is continuing to jump up. Now, the number 1 person on Peter Schrager's rookie completion list this week was, of course, Jaden Daniels, because he had the Hail Mary of them all. He looks fantastic. Jaden Daniels has definitely taken over as that number 1 rookie QB spot. But Bo Nix might be sneakily in at number 2, even over number 1 pick Caleb Williams. I'm curious your guys' thoughts on that. Do you go Jaden Daniels, Bo Nix, and then Caleb Williams? Or are you going Jaden Daniels, Caleb Williams, Bo Nix? It's definitely going to be interesting to see this week as they take on the Ravens and how Bo Nix can actually look, because the pressure is 100% on this time. All right, let's talk, though, about the Ravens, who they're taking on this week. It's going to be an intense game for them for sure. And the Ravens already have one of the NFL's most feared offensive attacks, and it just got even a little bit more dangerous. If you were watching Coffee Break with us yesterday, James Palmer actually broke this while we were live. But on Tuesday, the team acquired veteran wideout Diontae Johnson from the Panthers. In exchange, the Panthers get a 5th-round pick with a 6th-rounder going back to the Ravens along with Johnson. Now, Johnson has 30 catches for 357 yards and 3 touchdowns in 7 games this season, but he did miss last week with a rib injury. So while he was studying and preparing for the Broncos, he obviously did not play. He played 5 seasons for the Steelers before joining Carolina in the offseason. And if you're Diontae Johnson, you are stoked about going to a Super Bowl contender in the Baltimore Ravens. But also, this is going to be a really interesting matchup if he ends up playing this week after coming back from that rib injury and going against a really tough Broncos defense. So can the Broncos defense live up to the expectations that are being held against them right now? That's the hope. But again, the Ravens just keep getting better and better. And they said ahead of the trade deadline that's going to be on Tuesday, they said, we want to make a move. Now, a lot of people are wondering if the Broncos were going to be in on Diontae Johnson. Obviously, some people hoping to get another wide receiver out there. Personally, I don't think they need a wide receiver. I think Bo Nix is starting to have connections with a lot of people. Devon Bailey obviously has been a stud. Little Jordan Humphreys, that connection's growing. We're even seeing the relationship with Cortland Sutton and Bo Nix starting to really shine. I think they need somebody else, and we'll get into that at Coffee Break, 12 p.m. What position group do I think the Broncos should start hunting for before the trade deadline? We will touch on that later. All right, but the Broncos are making dreams come true, and I absolutely love this for them because I I love the Make-A-Wish Foundation so, so much. Now, obviously, any of these children that are in there, my heart breaks for them, and I'm just so happy that they get these opportunities. But last Saturday, head coach Sean Payton and the Broncos hosted 8-year-old Elmer at practice where he got to meet the team and break down the huddle, and he met his favorite player. You can't see it in this photo, but he was wearing a Patrick Surtain jersey, and there he is, of course, meeting PS2. So I love these type of stories all the time. They just make me so happy. I love seeing these kids get to go out there and live their best lives, to meeting all of these players, seeing behind the scenes stuff for all of their favorite teams as well. So great job by the Denver Broncos on making sure that gets done. The Denver Nuggets, they are back at 500 after consecutive nights of clutch shots to force overtime on Tuesday. Nikola Jokic tying the Brooklyn Nets just before the regulation buzzer to get it into an extra period where the Nuggets came away on top 144 to 139. It was intense to come back and just say that easily, to go into a second overtime game in back-to-back nights, and luckily they come out on top. Jokic became the first player in NBA history to notch 2 40-plus point games and 2 triple-doubles within the season's first 4 games. Yes, that is a very specific stat right there, but Nikola Jokic would be the only person who could possibly do it. Against the Nets, he tallied 29 points, 18 rebounds, and 16 assists. And then he also got some help from a guy we've been waiting and saying, hey, when are you going to show up? You were a big acquisition for them this offseason. Russell Westbrook had 22 points. He went 2 from 2 for 3-point land and had 5 assists in 21 minutes. Hallelujah. Russell Westbrook showed up and proved that he can still go out there and play. Nikola Jokic doing Nikola Jokic things, as always, is so much fun to watch, but we're happy that they're back at 500. Let's just pretend like the first 4 games of the season didn't happen, and let's see where they can go from there. We know that Jared Bednar with the Avalanche, he has talked about that he looks at the season in 10-game increments. How about we just do that for the Denver Nuggets? We're like starting at 0 right now, and hopefully we can get on a winning streak and continue that hot stuff. Now, on Friday, they will be facing the Minnesota Timberwolves, which, of course, will be an interesting game for sure on the road. Now, the Colorado Avalanche, though, they did announce that Kopo Kanonen is finishing his conditioning assignment with the Colorado Eagles and is slated to join the pro roster. And he will start tonight for the Avs as they will take on the Lightning. So, a new goalie. This is interesting, adding him into the mix. Annunen clearly seems to be the number one guy because Georgiev gave up 3 goals against the Blackhawks on Monday, and all of them came in the first period as the Avs found themselves down 3-1. They obviously end up losing that game, so it's no surprise now that we are seeing the Avalanche come in and bring in another goalie. Problem is that Kanonen has not only great numbers last year, he posted a combined 7-24-3 record with the Sharks and the Devils, and a .898 save percentage and a 3.64 goals against him per game. So those stats don't scream anything like, whoo, we should be super duper excited. But the Avs claimed him off the waivers from the Winnipeg Jets earlier this month, and in his 2 starts with the Eagles, he did stop 57 of 62 shots. So gives you a little bit of hope. It was like a fresh start for him. Hey, we're looking good. We've stopped all but 5 goals essentially for him with the Eagles. Can he do that now at the pro level, at this top level? Hopefully the defensive side of things for the Avalanche can look really good. They are dealing with a ton of injuries, and I wish this wasn't the case, but Bednar says he doesn't have a timeline on Ross Colton coming back, but says it will be significant time. It doesn't sound like Lehkonen had his appointment yet, so he's still out. Drouin still is in that day-to-day spot. So it's definitely been a little bit of a tough go-around. Val Nichushkin obviously still out from his suspension, but November is quickly approaching, which is when he should come back. When will Gabriel Landeskog come back? Who knows? So there's a ton of injuries for this Colorado Avalanche team, but they've got to defensively be able to figure it out and help their new goalie tonight as they take on the Tampa Bay Lightning. Ball Arena, 7 o'clock puck drop for that one. So make sure you tune in. I'm not much of a baseball girl, and you guys all know that. I dabble with it. I watch a full baseball game on opening day when it comes to the Rockies every single year. But I actually turned on the World Series last night, and the New York Yankees avoided a sweep by trouncing the Dodgers 11-4. And it was the 3rd inning grand slam by Yankee shortstop Anthony Volpe who put New York up 5-2. And I cannot even begin to explain. We're eating dinner last night at my house, watching the game, and they're talking about how amazing it would be if this guy can go out there and just get the guys a little bit of runs, get them some energy out there. And within seconds, you guys, all of a sudden, grand slam. And I was like, I can see why baseball can be somewhat entertaining at some points because holy smokes, that place went absolutely nuts. And although the Dodgers did manage to cut into that lead, they never fully closed the gap and they eventually let things fall apart entirely. And I'm excited for game 5. I can't believe I'm saying that. I'm actually going to be watching the World Series again tonight, of course, with the Avalanche. So don't get me wrong. But the game 5 is going to be tonight with the Yankees ace Garrett Cole and Dodgers Jack Flaherty meeting in a rematch of game 1. Can the Yankees hold on a little bit longer in hopes of not letting the Dodgers win another World Series? I don't know. But crazier things have happened. But me watching baseball did not expect that one to happen. The Grand Slam happened at the right time, and I was fully engaged at that point. All right, it's a slow morning here today, you guys. What's going on? Is everybody with the cold weather? They're like, you know what? I called into work. I'm not hanging out. I just want to chill at home. Good morning, Miss Rachel. Good morning, you guys. How are we feeling about the cold weather? Last year at this time, actually yesterday, we had gotten like 8 inches of snow here in the Mile High City. I had a memory pop up on my phone and I was like, wait a second, that is absolutely crazy. So is there a chance for a tight end trade? Ooh, interesting question, right? We're talking all about how, Travis Kelce finally showed up, but let's be real. He's been one of those tight ends that have put tight ends on the books for a couple of years now. A guy like George Kittle, there's so many different tight ends that we're talking about time and time again. So would you like to see the Broncos do a tight end trade? We will get into that. Let's talk about that today on Coffee Break. That's like a discussion worth having. I think that would be interesting. But the question is, who's willing to get rid of their tight end? Which tight ends would be available for this Denver Broncos team? We'll dive into that 12 p.m. Come hang out with us. And again, I'm going to give you who I think they really should be going for. A lot of people I feel like probably disagree with this take, but I feel like they're lacking desperately here, even though it kills me to say because I love the player that he is. Not sure what position or positions Denver might target in a trade, but I think they owe it to this year's team to upgrade anywhere it makes sense and doesn't mortgage the future substantially. All right, so this is the other thing that everybody's kind of talking about is if you're Broncos management, are you buying into this year? Because you do have a chance at making the playoffs. Right now, it really feels like the Broncos are going to be playing in the wild card spot. That's just the reality for this team. So do you want to see them make some moves? I feel like, yes, you do. You have an opportunity. You never know what can happen in the playoffs if you make it that far. But it does make a little bit more sense for a team like the Ravens who are going after it because they're this close from making it into the playoffs. So I think it'll be interesting to see how they handle it. And I think how they handle it will also tell us a lot about what they think of this team. I haven't watched a single pitch of this World Series. The payroll Olympics don't interest me. That's kind of funny, actually. That's one of the reasons I'm not like a huge baseball fan. I'm not going to lie, is because of guys like Shohei Ohtani, which don't get me wrong, absolutely amazing. But like the amount of money he's making is absolutely insane. Plus, it's just slower. I know they definitely did stuff with the pitch clock, which made it go by a little bit faster. But usually I'm just not it. But if I probably hadn't watched that Grand Slam, I probably wouldn't care. But I was like actually intrigued. And now I'm curious, can the Yankees go out there and try and fight back into this series? So that's going to do it though, you guys. Again, slow morning. What's going on with everybody? It's a Wednesday, right, Trey? I think it's Wednesday. Okay, it's Wednesday. This week feels like it's going so fast yet so slow at the exact same time. I can't wait for the game this Sunday against the Baltimore Ravens. I can't wait to see how this new goaltender looks for the Avalanche. And of course, we got a big matchup on Friday between the Minnesota Timberwolves and Denver Nuggets. We will have all your coverage for everything that I just talked about right there. But you guys stay warm if you're here in the Mile High City. If you're not, let us know where you are at. And we will see you guys at 12 o'clock. Plenty to talk about when it comes to the Broncos. We're doing our 10 observations for the day from the Panthers game as well. So we will see you guys then. Bye, everyone.